What's going on YouTube? Welcome to WestysAngling. You're joining me for an afternoon session today, and we're going to be testing out one of the new Korum floating feeders. As you can probably tell, it is an absolutely boiling hot, scorching day, and it's probably coming up to about 4 o'clock, but I've been waiting for these kind of conditions to come out and test these. Now, these things are like absolute rocking horse droppings. You just can't get hold of them for love nor money, but I've been very lucky enough to get my hands on some. I actually bought mine from Europe, so that's how much I wanted to try these out. But like I've said to you, I was waiting for the right conditions to come out and give them a test. Now I thought it's going to have to be a mild day, it's going to have to be warm, the fish are going to have to be up in the water, and it's probably going to have to be an afternoon session, because that's when the fish come up. They'll start basking in the afternoon. But unluckily, I've come down here today and they're absolutely blowing their heads off on the bottom. Just my luck. But we're going to see if we can drag them up in the water. I'm going to mix up a sloppy ground bait mix to go in this feeder and probably fish pellet on the hook. So that's the plan. I'll take you through the full setup, and this won't be a review of these feeders because obviously this is the first time I've used them. This is just going to be me testing them out, playing about with what rig sizes to use and stuff like that. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Let's see if we can get a few carp on the bank using the old Korum floating feeder. Look at them all here, folks. Absolutely blowing their heads off on the bottom. Absolutely blowing their heads off. And I'm going to be fishing on the top. Or near enough on the top anyway. Okie dokie. So as you can see, this is brand new. And they're a really simple contraption. They actually open from the bottom. And the top and the bottom is actually secured by an interior band. You can unscrew the top there and it's just got foam on the inside. Actually really simple design. I did want the orange, but they only had black in stock on the continent. So there we go. So if you're wondering how I've managed to get one, that's how. Imported in, especially for this review. I'm not sponsored or anything like that. Although Korum, if you're watching, if you want to send me a few for my subscribers, I'd really appreciate that. Okie dokie. So you fish this as you would a method feeder on a tip rod. So I'm going to use my Shimano Speedmaster with its 2-ounce tip. Need a fairly heavy duty tip here, because I imagine when this is full of ground bait and pellets, it's going to be quite a heavy feeder. So that's what I'm going to be doing. And like I said, we're going to quickly set it up. I'm going to show you just how easy it is to set up. This is 10-pound main line, and my hook lengths are actually 9-pound Guru N-gauge. And there you go, that's what I've tied up. Banded rigs, so I can use wafters and also pellet. I'm going to go with 6mm pellet on the hook to start with. I've got my bait down here. I'm going to be using my own brand of ground bait, which is a fruity flavoured expander ground bait. So that's going to be absolutely perfect in those feeders. And we'll mix that up to kind of sloppy consistency. So I've got some Robin Reds for on the hook there. And also some Aquastim F1 Supreme sweet fish meal in 6mm. So I'm also going to be pinging these out over the top of the feeder just to help bring the carp in. That's the plan anyway. So first of all, I'm going to soak my 2mm. Again, my own brand of pellets. These are a fruity pellet to match the ground bait. I'm not going to mix loads of them up, probably about that much. I'm going to mix these quite soft because we kind of want them to dissolve out of the feeder. So it's got quite big holes, and the 2mm, as the ground bait's dissolving out of there, will fall out as well. That's the hope anyway. I've probably only got about 4 hours fishing before the fishery wants to start shutting up, so I need to get a bit of a riddle on. Got a couple of components here that I'll need to tie this up. I've got some float stops. That's to keep the feeder in place. Really simple bit of kit. Any float stop will do, I think. And also, I've got a little tiny quick change bead. So that's what I'm going to use. One of them, so I can quickly change the hook lengths if I need to. And that'll help just kick the rig away from the main line and the feeder as well. So there we go. that's what I'm going to be using. I will talk you through that in a second. So first thing I'm going to do is put a float stop on. These are quite a wide float stop. I recommend you probably going for a large. Slide that on, so that's one on. Move that down my line a bit. Get our floating feeder. So snip that tag off there. And then we want another float stop just to hold that feeder in position. And the feeder is meant to help act like a bit of a boat rig. So that feeder gives some resistance there, so that when a fish bolts off, the resistance of that feeder against the water will actually set the hook. So that's why you're just waiting for your tip to go around. Just going to get one of these quick change beads and the insert for it. Thread that on, and then I'm just going to tie this on with a figure of 8 loop knot and make sure that's quite close down to the end of that. Tighten that up, trim our tag end there, stick that in the bin. Sorted. Then we want to pull that quick change bead back down over the insert like so. Can you see that? And that's the rig ready to go, folks. It's really simple. There's nothing to it. Anybody can do that. And obviously it doesn't really matter what length or hook length that you've got, because this is adjustable, so you can kind of like make the rig longer or shorter as you need it. Obviously you can try a few different depths. I'm going to have it fairly close to the end here because I kind of want my hook length just under the feeder, but without it getting tangled. That is the plan. So let's go with a size 12 to 9 pound Guru end gauge at about 8 inch. Just a normal method feeder style tied up rig there with a band on. So if you don't know how to tie those up, just check out my method feeder rig tying video. I'll put a link in the top right hand corner and just make it longer. That's it. Not got time to go through the full tying of the rigs today. So I'm just going to hook that on, trap it in place with the bead, and there we go. That's good to go. That's going to be tangle free and work really well, hopefully. So that's it, folks. So these have been soaking. I'll take them out. They're going to be nice and soggy. So let's mix some of our fruit punch ground bait here. Mix quite a bit up. And add a splash of water to it. I'm going to try it quite dry first, because obviously we want it to come out the feeder. Travelling light today, I've not got my ground bait mixing bucket, so this will have to do us. Now I imagine that fishing like this, you're going to have to really play about with the consistency of the ground bait. So I'm going to mix some really sloppy, and I'm going to mix some a little bit dry like this mix. I'm going to see what works best. There's a lovely smell to it, that ground bait. Right, another tub there. Let's get the pellets in. So I've also got a couple of my liquids with me today to give it a real boost. I've got potent coca scope and potent sweet candy in here. These are very powerful glazes, you don't need much. So that is what I'm going to do. Catapult, pinging the pellets out. Mix a few of these Robin Reds in here, so I've got a choice. Right folks, we're ready to go here. That's how I want it. So as you can see, that's how I'm going to start with it, and I'll make it a bit longer if I need to, but that's hanging probably about 4 or 5 inch off the feeder there. I'm going to start on an Aquastim F1 Sweet, so that'll most match the feeder mix because it's a nice sweet pellet. And I'm probably going to go just out from here Right, so let's load the feeder up for the first time. So you load it up through the bottom, move that out of the way, that top. Can you see how that's just elasticated back into place? So I'm going to put some pellets in. I'm going to get our sloppy expander mix, and I'm just going to force some of that in, and that'll break down slowly. There we go. Look at that. That looks like a bite to me, folks. So I'm actually going to inject it almost with the glaze, and also put some on the outside of the feeder as well. Right, let's do it. Are we going to get a fish? I'm going to go quite far out where they're not expecting it. And you just put it on your rod rest, and you wait for it to go around just as you would a normal feeder. I've not seen anything really attacking the feeder yet. It's so weird not being able to tighten up to it. I just think you've just got to get them in that aggressive feeding response. Oh, that was a bit of a take. So as you can see, it just sits perfectly with the line up out the water, so it's not disturbing any fish, and it just goes down to the bottom of the flights where the foam is. Well, there's definitely something trying at it. Whether they're just nudging the feeder or not, I don't know. I can try a sweet candy wafter if they don't want the pellet, but I feel like the weight of the pellet is going to really help set that hook. God, they are going for it. It's definitely been pecked at a few times. Let's take some of that slack off. It is drifting. I wouldn't like to fish this on a windy day, but this is ideal conditions for how you want to use this feeder. Still calm, but especially when the carp are cruising and you're not allowed to use surface baits. This is ideal for those kind of fisheries. I understand it's probably going to be very frustrating that you can't get hold of one. Oh wow, look at all these swallows. Look at this. Hundreds of them. Oh, there you go. Well, we had a bit of a take then, folks, but the hook didn't set by the looks of it. It might be better not using a hair rig and just hooking directly onto the hook, because if the carp just grab the bait, then they're just going to drop it, aren't they? That's why they need to be feeding aggressively. Yeah. So all the ground baits come out at that time, and pellets. So that's worked a little bit better. I think so far the trick is having a fairly dry ground bait mix and just adding a sprinkling of pellets to it. Seems to be working best. Oh. Something's just had a go at it. There's something feeding on the feeder itself. Yeah, there you go. Ready. We're in, folks. On the Korum floating feeder. Let's get the method feeder rod out. It's not a big fish, but a fish is a fish. At least we can call this video a semi-success. Common. Long thing. Boom. In the net. Happy days. We've done it. Now I'm going to change hook baits. So that was on a Westys Wafter, and I've literally just got it banded tight to the hook. I feel like a wafter would just kind of negate the weight of the hook and just make them take it a bit freer up in the water. See if we can get one on pellet. Let's get this out the way though. Let's get it back. Well, a fish is a fish, folks, on the Korum floating feeder. Going back. Now that have probably been in something like 4 minutes. I'd have expected to get bites a lot quicker on this method, and that was a bit further out as well, wasn't close in, but you could see them coming up for it. And once they started competing for that ground bait that was coming out the feeder, that's when it went round. So let's do that again, see if we can get it in a similar sort of spot, because it'll still be there. And I actually saw the line tightening up. Come on, let's get that. We'll get that. Oh, straight away. Oh my god, you see I've got them competing in that spot now. This is better. This is what I expected. Feels better than that last one. Beautiful rods, these Shimano Speedmasters. Ooh. Don't want to come in. On the Korum floating feeder. Happy days, folks. Love it when a plan comes together. Nope, not under the peg. Not seen it yet. Must be a good fish. How big's this? Not in the reeds. Not in the reeds, that's it. Open water, please. Oh, it's a good fish. There's another comment. Not in the reeds, I said. God, it's running me ragged. Come on. It's still going. What a unit. I don't want to put, like, I'm giving it some stick here, folks. I don't want to lose it. Must be well hooked. Oh, it's in. Oh my god. Oh, that's a fish and a half. There's a Korum floating feeder. That's a monster. That's easily a double figure fish. Been a while since I've caught this fish, folks. I've got a feeling this is no lip linder. What are the chances? I've not fished this fishery in, I don't know, 12 months. What we're saying, folks, is that Linda? I'm pretty sure it is. Look at the mouth. I'm going to get some stuff and heal that for it, but I'm pretty sure that's Linda. For the followers of the channel, you tell me, but I'm almost certain. For those of you that aren't following the channel, I'll put a link in the top right hand corner now to a video that shows me catching this fish 3 times in a year. And there we go, we just caught her again. Old Linda. She fights like an absolute demon as well, belly on it. I bet that fish is probably 12-13 pound, easy. Really long, powerful fish. Absolute beauty. I think the last time I had her out she was like 11, and she's easily put on some weight since then. I'm going to get her back though, but epic. Oh, look at that lump. Just put some carp care on her lips, folks, and I'm going to get her back. See if we can get another one on the Korum feeder. Bunny fish. Go on, Linda. Take it from me, folks, that fish is a beast. She's such a powerful fish. Fights like a demon every time. That was on the pellet, that. So, literally 8 inch, I think's about right. And banded to the shank of the hook like that, rather than actually banded like a her rig. Banded. whatever that is, if that's a saying or not. I won't pack it in tight now. Oh, well, I think I might have cracked it. Took a little bit of playing about with, and I think fishing a bit further out with it is probably the way forward, folks, because they feel confident. Don't forget, pellet wagglers and stuff like that probably can't get this far. Right, they're on that straight away now. They're now competing for it, and they just think the pellet is a loose offering that's falling off the feeder. They're not even thinking about it. Much like a method feeder, they're just thinking about the loose offerings and picking at the feeder. I'm going to keep mixing the hook baits up, keep them thinking, keep them guessing, but you just see the line go tight, and then obviously you lift into it. And I think the trick is just be patient with it, let them find it, and then try and get it back to that same spot. Well, I'm trying to keep an eye on the feeder so my rod doesn't get ripped in, because they've been quite aggressive bites. But while we've got a minute between bites, I just want to say, if you are enjoying the video, please hit that subscribe button. It's all you need to do to support the channel, and I really appreciate it. And if you've got any questions about anything that I've done this afternoon, please don't hesitate to drop a comment in the comment section. I try and get back to questions where I can. And if you've really enjoyed it, make sure you hit that like button as well. It really does help the channel. And if you're just had a bit of a tug then. And if you are on TikTok, Facebook and Instagram, give us a follow on there as well. Honestly, appreciate it more than anything. The support from you guys is absolutely massive, and it allows me to come out and do things like this, do reviews, do little bait tests, and I really do appreciate you all. Right, let's get back into the video. Let's try and get another one on the bank. Just want to show you this, folks. Evening session, everybody's gone. I'm still here and we're still catching. It's about 7:45. I've probably got another hour's worth of fishing before I'll have to start packing up. But these short evening sessions are absolutely brilliant. They can get busy, especially during the summer holidays, but usually by 5-6 o'clock everybody's gone home to have the tea, and it can be a brilliant time to come out and nab a few fish. So I'm going to recast this now, because it's been in a little bit of time, and I'm probably going to put a wafter back on, I reckon. Now, bear in mind, folks, that we have only been fishing a couple of hours. I know we've only had a couple of fish, but that's not too bad. I think a technique that I'm going to try next time is a bit of an over-under technique, where you're fishing on the top with this and underneath it with a method feeder, pinging bait out. I think that would work really well. I'll have to give that a go, I think. And if you don't want to miss any videos or when I post them, make sure you hit the bell icon as well. That way you'll get reminded when I post. Not going to put any pellets in it this time, just ground bait. Bit of glaze. Try a touch further out. I literally just hit the water, that as well. Can't believe that. I don't think it's a big fish. It's one of these little stocky mirrors. Don't think it's done, that one. Alright, okay. Chill. Oh my god. Third fish going back. Get my Westies wafter back though. Not wasting them. Yeah, that's better. Well, there you go, folks. It's just about getting them competing. So that one was on the dry ground bait, and I think it's working a lot better, that, because I think it's clouding up the water as soon as it hits on the wafter. Got the technique down, I think now. It works definitely better with the ground bait rather than the pellets, and I think they just wait for that clouded water and come up and hammer the hook bait, and it's just getting them competing for that ground bait up in the water. There we go. There we go, folks. We'll have to call it a day soon, but at least I've had a good practice, and I think I've got the technique down now. But I think they definitely have more of a chance of throwing the hook than they do on the method feeder, and they can spit the hook as well if they feel that prick. I've just noticed that some of them are spitting the hook, not all of them, but some of them, and it's definitely better to band the bait close to the shank of the hook like that, rather than actually having it hair rigged. And let's see if we can get a quick bite on camera, because they've really started homing in on it now. Loading that up, and literally as soon as it hits the water, as soon as them clouds start, it's away. But it's got to be in the right spot as well, which is about there. Yep, they're straight in for that. I'm not going to put the rod on the rod rest. And all you're waiting for is one of the fish to suck that bait in but catch itself right. There we go. Love it when a plan comes together. This feels like a better fish. Well, I'll tell you what, folks, I'd be absolutely gutted if I lost this feeder, because apparently they're not getting any more coming through until September, October. I've just had a look online. That is a better fish. Still not as big as Outlander though, but still a chunk. Oh, hooked in the top lip there. Look at that. In the dying light. I think we've got time for one more. Yeah, the fruit punch ground bait and the Westies Wafters are definitely doing the trick in this feeder. So I would say it's probably best to either have a really sloppy mix or a really dry mix to create those clouds. And I think what I'll do next time is really slop it up and put some glaze in it and glug and stuff, make it really smelly. And I will be giving these feeders a really good test out at a few venues over the coming weeks while we've got the hot weather, because this is the time of year to be testing them. Oh, these angry little stockies. Most of the carp this evening have been on the Wafters on this method, it seems. I think it's that lightness and that extra little buoyancy that just helps that hook length fly in to the carp's mouth a little bit better, and you get a better hook hold, I think. When I've fished pellet, I've had a couple of them spit the hook. I think they can eject it a lot easier than they can a wafter. Built up a little bit more confidence again. All those ducks won't help. Oh, I can see them moving in. I can see them moving into the feeder. It's like ringing a dinner bell for them. And you'll see them bust up on the water. There's one right by it there. Yeah, here we go. Oh my God. I'm so impressed with these feeders, folks. So impressed with them. It's like surface fishing, but legal fishery rules surface fishing. It's that good a method. So impressed with it. Must be another little stocky this, but it feels weighty. A little bit better. It's a slightly bigger stocky. There's the Korum feeder on the top. Don't go in them reeds. They'll have you everywhere, these fish, honestly. You know what they're doing. Don't actually think that is one of the stockies. It's not the same strain. Nice mirror. Well folks, that is definitely not a stocky. I knew it was a better fish. That's a bonny mirror, that. It's probably about £6. A bit of a belly on it. Beauty. It has taken me pretty much the full session to really get the technique down. It takes a touch of practice, and I think a lot of it is the consistency of your bait, but also getting them fish competing. I think it does help to ping a few big pellets over the top, but not many, because you want them focusing on the ground bait rather than the pellets. Covered in ground bait though. Right, and we're going to have another quick bite, that's the question. Always get it back in the same spot as well. He says it's about 4 foot short. Oh, it's pretty much a leather carp, this one. It's got a little line of scales down its back, but pretty much a leather. Hardly any scales on its body whatsoever. It's not ready. Got so much energy, these fish. Oh no, I can't even show you this one, folks. It's too lively. I've not filmed them all, folks, but no word of a lie, in this 3-hour session I bet I've had 12 fish, something like that. I'm keeping going until I really do lose the light, because I'm getting my money's worth on the day ticket, even if it is a few hours. Probably the last couple of casts. Should be able to see this better now. Oh, look at them. They're like swarming over for it straight away. Here we go. It's definitely best to have your rig literally just sat under the feeder. Nothing too long, folks, in terms of a rig. You don't want to be a foot, because they definitely have more chance of spitting it as well. You want them to hook themselves against the buoyancy of the feeder. That's a really nice mirror. Wow. Oh, it might be one for the unhooking mat, this, folks. Another chunk. Really bonny mirror. I'll get it back. Lovely condition, that one. Fin perfect, literally. It's actually a really fat fish, that. But it's not far off double figures, that. Well, if there's anybody from Korum watching this, I must say you've made an absolutely brilliant product there. Well folks, look at this lovely sunset. We're losing the light now, so I'm going to have to call it a day and get packed up. But what an awesome little evening session we've had there, and I'm sure that I'd carry on catching them right up to dusk. Now that I've got them feeding, I've got them competing with the Korum floating feeder on the spot. But I'm really impressed with it. I would say go out and buy yourselves one, but chances are you probably won't even be able to get hold of one, which is really annoying. And when they do come back in stock, folks, really recommended. It's got the WestysAngling thumbs up. Very active way of fishing. You can't just sit and leave it like you can with a method feeder. I would say either a really sloppy ground bait mix or a really dry ground bait mix, because you want to get that water clouded up and the fish will swarm in, and it's that stimulation from the clouds of ground bait that makes them not even think about your hook bait. Now, the fish, I've noticed, do spit the hook more than they would on a method feeder, and sometimes you don't quite hook them right. So I've lost more fish tonight than I would have done on the method feeder. Maybe they've not quite caught themselves right with it or whatever, but that seems to be the way. I've had some really nice fish, mostly little stockies, but I've also caught Linda, which is probably one of my favourite carp on the planet. Always seem to catch her when I come here, so been a really enjoyable evening. So I just want to say thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next Westies Angling, folks. There's an absolute monster carp feeding down here at my feet, where I've just put the leftover ground bait in. This would really this would really finish off the video. Oh my god, if that's not worth a subscribe, folks, what is? You thought you was going to get some free bait. I think this might be a little barbel. How weird. Yeah, it is a barbel. Snaffling all that ground bait at my feet. Amazing. This little snaffler was after me free ground bait. What a beautiful little barbel. Epic. What a lovely evening's fishing, folks. Not a bad fish, that, is it? Little coarse fishery barbel.